Coming up on Look Today, well, visitors from all over the region take a New Year's plunge into Lake George. I've got the details. Plus, Bolton's Rogers Memorial Park receives an additional grant for upgrades. And West Mountain has finally opened up for the ski season. It's all ahead on Look Today. Welcome, everyone. Hope you had a wonderful holiday season. Well, I'm J. Hood Jackson, and this is Look Today. Well, in tonight's program, I sit down with former Queensbury at-large Supervisor Mark Westcott to recap his final term in Warren County. And we talk with Teddy Foster. She's a campaign director of the Universal Preservation Hall in Saratoga. We're going to talk about their ambitious plans for 2016. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties. But first, these headline stories. In our lead story, many began 2016 with the traditional Polar Plunge in Lake George. On January 1st, an estimated 1,200 brave people jumped into the cold waters at Shepherd's Park while hundreds of spectators looked on. It was a dreary day with light flurries, but people wore bright costumes and dove into the lake. The water temperature, by the way, was 46 degrees, warmer than the air temperature, which was a blistering 39 degrees. Well, participants ran in waves of 400 people at a time, challenging themselves to stay in longer than in years past. Now, the tradition of taking a New Year's swim in Lake George began in the early 1970s with a few dozen people. Now, the Polar Plunge is a highly anticipated event in our region and a fun way to kick off the new year if you're crazy. Changing from news to weather. We're finally seeing some winter weather with cold temperatures and light flurries. So let's see how the week is going to shape up. For the latest, let's head to our Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast. Back to the news. Well, the town of Bolton received another grant for Rogers Memorial Park upgrades. A state grant of $362,000 was offered to make changes to the park slated to be ready for June of 2016. Now, these changes included in this phase include a pedestrian overlook, a new visitor center, stormwater improvements, and extension of public boat docks. All upgrades are to strengthen the connection between the lakefront and businesses along Lakeshore Drive. Great. In other news, after much delayed winter weather, guess what? West Mountain has opened up for the ski season. After a warm holiday week, West Mountain was finally able to open on Saturday, even though they only opened the lower mountain. Skiers packed the house, forming a line in the morning for a chance to hit the slopes. Now, although they weren't able to make snow this past weekend, weather forecasts call for colder weather in the coming days. Now, this colder air will allow West Mountain to make snow with their new snow machines and expand further up the mountain for skiers and snowboarders. This is great news for anybody living in the area, and let's just hope it stays cold. Also in the news, Queensbury High School held a 5K run and walk to benefit the Jeff Aurelia Scholarship Fund. Big A's 5K run and walk was held on January 1st at Queensbury High School. Over 100 participated in the 3.1-mile event. It is a fundraiser to benefit a scholarship for high school seniors. Now, proceeds from the run went toward the Jeff Aurelia Scholarship Fund. This fund was created in memory of the high school teacher and football coach who always took time to work with students in need. We caught up with Jonathan Baker, who's the assistant principal at Queensbury, who told us about the positive outcome of this annual 5K.
His parents were very, very active and supportive, and the wonderful piece is that all the monies raised are donated for scholarships for Queensbury High School students, seniors that go on to college, as well as Glens Falls High School.
Well, lastly, an electrical fire destroyed a home in South Glens Falls on Saturday morning. An estimated 50 to 60 firefighters were at the scene of a South Glens Falls home this past weekend. The source of the fire was an electrical short in the stove, and the house has been badly damaged. Now, despite the damage, all 5 residents of the home, including the family dog, got out safely with no injuries reported. Still to come, we interview Mark Westcott. He's a former Queensbury at-large supervisor, and he's going to wrap up information about his final term in Warren County and tells us about his plans for 2016. Plus, we speak with Teddy Foster. She's from Universal Preservation Hall in Saratoga about their work to make Saratoga an arts and cultural destination. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000.